Well, in this segment of Who Would Have Thunk It?
What?
Mr. Conspiracy Theorist.
Bullshit?
Mr. Legacy.
That is true.
Mr. Vax.
Get the fuck out of my sight before I demolish you.
That would be one RFK Jr. He just dropped out of race and he's back in Kamala Clown.
Wow.
No. He's back in Donald Trump. I'm Jazz Berganzo and this. How'd you go in there for a little bit, right? Little? No?
Nope.
Yeah, I didn't think so. But it's what's next. Hey, happy Sunday, ladies and gentlemen. Jazz Berganzo, what's next? Your daily dose. Hope you guys are feeling good today. Of course, this is the weekend edition. Well, you might have missed it. Friday, a little bomb of sorts got dropped. You might have been working. You might have been, mowing the lawn. You might have been doing something. Who knows what you've been doing. But RFK Jr., Mr. Independent, Mr. I walked away from the Democrats, Mr. Vax and Fauci and everything that it stands for, dropped out and backs Kamala Harris. I'm sorry, what? Oh, no, I'm sorry. Backs Donald Trump. Yeah, Kamala wished he got the backing. She got the backing, excuse me. But anyway, how much will this help Donald Trump? How much will this hurt Kamala Harris? And of course, for independents, where to now? But here we go. This comes out of Outkick. When the Dems lose Kennedy, they've lost the plot. This coming from Clay Travis. In Friday in Arizona, R.F. Kennedy Jr., the eldest son of R.F.K. Sr., the best-known surviving scion of the Kennedy family dynasty, took to the stage to endorse one Donald Trump for President of the United States. It was an iconic and consequential moment. A member of the Kennedy family, royalty in Democratic politics for generations, turning his back on the party of his family's legacy to endorse a Republican candidate. In doing so, Kennedy did something extraordinary. He stood on principle over politics, embraced actual democracy, not democracy, instead of the rigged candidate system created by the DNC. In the space of a few sentences, Kennedy erased 4 days of speeches at the DNC. His clarion call for truth, accountability, and the democratic system has reverberated loudly for many middle-of-the-road voters, people who feel alienated by politics on both left and the right, folks who no longer believe that people in positions of power actually give a damn. But he does. Having initially sought the nomination for the Democratic Party, Kennedy was blocked by every turn by dementia supporters at the DNC. They wouldn't allow debates, wouldn't allow a full contest for the party's nomination, even though that is exactly what Barack Obama called for. Even though Biden was mentally and physically a shell of a man he once been, the DNC protected Biden, arguing anyone sharing videos of his clear and mental physical deterioration was participating in, quote, cheap fakes. So did, too, their allies in the left-wing media. Remember, it was only 60 days ago, CNN, MSNBC, The New York Times, The Post, and other left-wing media knuckleheads who dared to suggest that dementia was anything other than sharp as a tack, more like a bowling ball, behind closed doors. Kennedy lambasted this in his address Friday afternoon, endorsing Trump for president and articulating the primary challenge for our times quite clearly. Quote, when a U.S. president colludes with or outright coerces media companies to censor political speech, it is an attack on our most sacred right of free expression, he said, and that's the very right which upon all our constitutional rights rest. RFK Jr. asserted that in 16 months of his campaign, all the legacy media gave him only 2 live interviews. 2. The mainstream media was once the guardian of the First Amendment and democratic principles, but has since joined system attack on democracy, he said. To bring this a point to clear focus, after ignoring him for 16 months, as soon as he endorsed Trump, CNN had a member of the Kennedy family on last night in prime time to attack RFK Jr. That was Friday night, excuse me. The network that wouldn't carry Kennedy himself or any of his arguments was happy to offer live primetime guest spots to members of his own family who trashed him. All of this led to what I believe is seen as an important legacy in the 24 campaign. Democrats have become so corrupt that even a Kennedy can't support them any longer. Kennedy's embrace of Trump, which is compared to Abraham Lincoln's team of rivals in his address, represents yet another incredible twist in an election season that has so far been propelled by the unexpected. Less than 2 months ago, June 27th, Trump took to the stage and debate Biden in Atlanta. I know how it feels 2 years since then, but it's considered that it happened last night. Trump knocked out Biden, ending his political career. It was the first true knockout we've seen in the history of the American presidential debates. It took several weeks, including Trump becoming the first president to be shot at by a would-be assassin since Ronald Reagan in 1981, for Biden to realize that he couldn't get back up off the electoral canvas. But on July 21st, 3 weeks and 3 days after the debate, Biden campaign finally waved in the towel. In the corner of the ring, Biden was done. He withdrew from the race and has barely been seen since. Next up, Kamala Harris. Yes, that same Kamala Harris who Democrats spent months arguing should be dropped out of the political ticket because she was the least popular vice president in the history of modern American politics. Hell, Dick Cheney shot someone in the face while he was vice president, and he was still more popular than Harris. In one fell swoop, without receiving a single vote for president, Democrats canceled the expression will of 14 million primary voters and elevated Harris to the nomination. Again, let me reiterate, everything that Barack Obama wanted, an open convention, was dashed to the side because they had their girl. Amazingly, Harris, who has never received a single vote for president, is the nominee. Yeah, remember her? Remember she got her ass handed to her by one Tulsi Gabbard? Yeah, good times. Yes, the same Harris who dropped out of the 2020 presidential race before a single vote had been cast. The same Harris whose most functional brain realizes had never been a Democrat nominee if Biden had done what he had done and announced he wasn't running until late spring of 23. That would have allowed actual Democrat primary. But at last, we've all come to realize Democrats don't want elections. They want selections. Hillary in 2016. Dementia in 20. Harris in 24. They're all the product of people running the DNC. The hand-selected nominees of the party, will of the voter be damned. The party that claims that Trump is a threat to democracy has now incredibly charged Trump with felonies in 3 different states and D.C., seeking jail time in each case, removed the president who received a Democratic nomination for president and replaced him with a nominee who had received not a single vote for that nomination, fought every third-party challenger, including RFK Jr., the Green Party, Cornel West, Libertarian Party, and who sought ballot access in the 24 election, and dutifully hidden Harris from all media, refusing all interview requests and all press conference availabilities. This is not the democratic process. This is not how candidates should be chosen. Kennedy realizes this. It is why he couldn't stand silently by and allow himself to be a spoiler in this race. It is why he felt compelled to speak out. Stand on principle, and endorse the only presidential candidate who had actually won a primary to support the presidential candidate who supports free speech and believes sharing his vision for the world. Ultimately, even if it requires him to turn his back on the party that made his family a mythical heir to Camelot, Kennedy had only one choice. The result? Trump and Kennedy are now a team.
The independent presidential candidate and possible election spoiler, now a supporter of former President Donald Trump. Both men together on stage for the first time.
Don't you want a president who's going to get us out of the wars and who's going to rebuild the middle class in this country?
The two bonding over shared assassination events. In July, Trump injured in an attempted assassination. RFK Jr.'s uncle, Democratic President John F. Kennedy, and his father, Attorney General Robert F. Kennedy, both assassinated. On Friday, Trump making a promise.
Upon my election, I will establish a new independent presidential commission on assassination attempts. And they will be tasked with releasing all of the remaining documents pertaining to the assassination of President John F. Kennedy.
When RFK Jr. announced his candidacy as an independent, members of his own family campaigned against him. Instead, they supported the ticket of the Democrats, the party of his family.
Is to re-elect Joe Biden and Kamala Harris.
RFK Jr. is a controversial candidate as a vaccine denier and a conspiracy theorist on COVID-19 and 9/11. Mary Jo O'Rourke's father worked for President John Kennedy in the 1960s.
I am a Kennedy devotee. I think it's time for Mr. Kennedy to go home and enjoy the rest of his life.
You need to shut the fuck up.
In a statement, the Democratic Party claims polls indicate the handful of voters who still support RFK Jr. are splitting between Democratic candidate Kamala Harris and Trump. Some analysts say the RFK Jr. voters might not vote at all. Others predict a short-term bump for Trump.
It's slightly helpful to Donald Trump, but I think overall this is going to be a close race between the two candidates, the two parties, and the independent vote is going to be only important around the margins.
Trump supporters welcome him.
They're showing that the party that his uncle, father, all of his family were a part of, that it's not the same party anymore.
Wow, that was something, huh?
In the past, both men have strongly criticized each other. But as we've seen throughout this election year, former enemies quickly change their allegiances when they drop
and
out.
A good one by Clay Travis. So we have RFK Jr., who, by anyone's standards, knew that he didn't have a shot in hell in getting the Democratic nominee. He had no shot in hell. Democrats didn't want him. They kicked his ass to the curb. When you had his own family members step up, not this one because he endorsed Trump, but before, when he walked away from the Democratic Party and decided to go in as an independent, yeah, you had family members come out and slam him. It was pathetic. It's sad to see that you had someone who has a legacy behind him and you have his own family wouldn't support his ass. But it's neither here nor there at this point. Now he backs Trump. Question is, how big of an advantage is Trump going to get off of this? How much of a boost is he going to get off of this? Or will he get any at all? So from what I'm hearing, you got independents who are like, I like RFK Jr. I can't stand Trump. You got independent voters who are like, I might vote for Harris. Then you have the other third of the independents going, I might not vote at all. And I think that's pathetic and sad because then you have no shit to say. But with this, there were some things about RFK Jr. in the beginning that I liked. There were some things he said, especially when he was going after Fauci, when he was going after the whole Wuhan virus, going after the magical vax. I loved it. It was great. It was great to hear that, that he basically was going after them and going after them hard. But at the same time, he made critical mistakes early on in the campaign that might have cost him any kind of momentum. Hey, I'm going to bring in a VP candidate. My candidate for VP who just happens to be my biggest donor. In an interview, I couldn't tell you what a woman was. Or I could tell you what a woman was, but I wasn't so sure whether minors should get transmental hormones and surgeries. Child castrations, those type of things. Couldn't answer that with clarity. Then he basically backed one Harvey Milk on Harvey Milk's birthday. And we all know who Pedo Milk is. Anyway, but these were the little things that he kept on tripping over himself. He kept on stepping on rakes, and eventually it led to him walking away from it. So now he backs Trump. But I think it's a good thing. I think a lot of people who are supportive of him, may not like Trump, but at the same time, they're like, this is the only legitimate chance that we're going to have in regards to trying to get a lot of things resolved back into the country. Because we know the country is fucked. The country's been fucked over the last 4 years. So what does Kamala do? What does Kamala the clown, Kamala Willie Brown, Kamala knee pads do now? She does what she does best. Sits there, like a deer in the headlights and cackles. That's all she's got. And with that being said, I'm Jasper Gonzo. This is What's Next. Want to see more like this? Please leave a comment below. Like it, share, subscribe to it. Hit that notification bell so you guys never miss a thing. Continue spreading the word about the show. Appreciate you guys watching as always. And we'll see you on the next one. Peace.